Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Ooh, ooh. Always great. It's a day that we remember those that have passed before us, and it is a super important day. And of course, whenever you ever hear anybody give a devotional on a day like today, they always say something like, and let's not forget the greatest sacrifice of all, Jesus Christ dying on a cross, which is very important. I would say the most important thing. However, I want us to remember something on this Memorial Day, but with a little bit of a twist. Today, I want us to remember who it is we used to be before we knew Christ. I want us to remember what Christ has done for us since that day. I want us to remember the countless prayers that we have given that have gone answered. I want us to remember those that we keep praying for that need Christ so much in their life. I want us to remember the countless blessings that God has poured out on us. I want us to remember the promises that God gives us for the future. And that is a great thing to remember. So this ain't no joke. This is how I have to walk up here on the roof. Because it's so bright. I don't even know if you can see how bright it is. But I'm going snow blind. But roof blind, I guess. Anyways. It kind of reminds you a little bit of whenever in the Bible it talks about how when God is so bright that even the darkness can't comprehend it. It also talks about how in heaven we're just going to be surrounded by God's glory. There's not going to be any shadow. There's not going to be any darkness. It's just going to be whoa, kind of like this. Boom! God's just everywhere. It's just bright. It's going to be amazing. Another thing about being out in the sun and what's being bright and being on this roof is you can't hide. There's nothing out here. It's not like if I was wearing all dark clothing, you couldn't notice me. The thing is about being in the light, that your darkness comes to light. And that's okay, because then you get to be white as well. So here's something you can do right now. Go outside, find yourself some grass like this. Now, if I were to reach down, I don't even know if you can see me do this. I had to grab a piece of grass so I can rip it right up. No big deal. But if I grab a handful of grass, it stays on there pretty strong. Pretty hard for me to rip up. Wouldn't it be great if that didn't, you couldn't see anything I was doing? Here's the thing. The point is, obviously Scripture tells us that a 3-string cord is not easily broken. But another thing that's super important is that community is something that every Christian has to have. Community isn't something we just say oh man, we should just be a band of brothers. We should just come together just because. But it's because we're actually stronger together. That individually, yes, we might be the greenest grass that's out there, but we can be plucked so easily. Satan can come in and just disrupt and destroy us with hardly any effort. But then whenever we are all together, we're holding each other accountable and we're building and encouraging one another, then we're stronger than we could ever be alone. So here's the dealio. There's a sickness in this world. For those of you that even watch the news, then you know what I'm talking about, that of an ordeal that happened in Minnesota. And it's terrible. It's downright wrong on every level. And the responses haven't been great either. What I guess surprises me is how surprised everyone is by it. I mean, aside from the fact that the Bible tells us that we live in a fallen world, that we're born into sin, that we're all pretty selfish and we all want our own desires and we're only looking out for numero uno. I mean, the Bible also tells us there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. The Bible also tells us that heaven is a place where there's not going to be any more crying, sickness, pain. People aren't going to judge you by your looks, by your color, by your speech impediments or anything like that. They're only going to love one another. All the more reason why Jesus really is the answer that we're looking for. Here's the deal. I've had this conversation a lot, and I've learned that it takes longer than a minute for me to explain it all, so I'm going to talk really fast. Hopefully you can keep up. Good luck. So here's the deal, that I've talked a lot today about what it's like to be a Christian. So the short synopsis of it is, in case you don't want to watch the whole show, is the fact that that being a Christian is more than just loving God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and loving your neighbor as yourself, even though those are the greatest commandments. The fact still remains that we have to be covered in His blood. We not only have to believe in Jesus, but fully follow Him and then believe that His sin covers us, that we have to, like, in essence, confess or give up the sins that are tying us down in order that we can be tied to Christ, which is way better to be yoked with him than to be yoked with anything else. The problem is too many people just think that because they're morally right, that they're just going to earn their way into heaven, or that other people think that just because they believe that there is a Jesus or that there is a God, or that maybe Jesus was God's only son, they're going to make it. But the funny thing is that in James, it even says, like, even the demons believe, but they're not making it to heaven, people.